Hi there, I'm Dr. Jawad, a chiropractor and a functional medicine specialist. Functional medicine is a science and practice of restoring health and reversing chronic health problems. I use specialized laboratory testing not offered by traditional doctors to discover the underlying cause of your current condition to create your individual healthcare plan. I do not look for the what that is causing your issues, I look for the why that is causing your chronic illnesses. So work with me and get the professional help you deserve to begin feeling yourself again. Click on the link below to schedule your free 15-minute consultation. We can talk over the phone, face-to-face, or over Zoom. Thank you very much and have a great day. Hello everyone, it's Dr. Jawad. I did a previous video on taking bile salts. The link is down below. I'm getting a lot of questions, a lot of responses, and the number one thing is, I'm taking bile salts and I have diarrhea. Why? Now, bile salts are phenomenal to take. It prevents gallstones. It increases the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. It helps lower constipation. It's good for the thyroid gland. It helps with the conversion of inactive T4 to active T3. It's good for our immune system because it helps trigger the vitamin D receptors of our immune cells, which help control inflammation. So for people who have autoimmune diseases or conditions, taking bile salts is phenomenal. It lowers the chances of small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, SIBO. So it's phenomenal. But what's with the diarrhea? Hello everyone, this is Dr. Jawad. Thank you for tuning into my channel. 3 things, it'll take you 2 seconds. 1, hit the subscribe button. Next is the bell notification. 3, hit the like button. I'm going to give you one more assignment. Leave a comment. Google owns YouTube, and I love growing my channel over the years, and the more comments you put down there, it's going to recognize traffic. So even if you write, I like it, I don't like it, I can't stand the color, whatever it is, I don't care, okay? I'm a big boy. Please leave a comment, because I always appreciate it. Okay, so I did a previous video about bile salts, and I'm getting a lot of traffic, and the main thing it is diarrhea. What is going on with the diarrhea and taking bile salt? Now, in the previous video, I just want to recap, there are certain conditions which you should not take bile salts. Now remember, the main function of bile salts, and again, we make it in our system, but I'm talking about the ones that are depleted. It reduces the chance of gallstones. It increases your fat-soluble vitamin absorption, vitamins A, D, E, and K, and omegas. It decreases constipation because it helps lubricate the colon. For the thyroid, it increases the conversion of inactive T4 to active T3. For your immune system, it helps trigger our vitamin D receptors, which is the gateway to our immune system. So if you have an autoimmune disease, it's going to help lower the inflammation. SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, okay, that's on the distal end of the small intestines, it lowers the toxic load there. And also too, what it does is an antimicrobial, so it does clean up your whole system. However, when not to take it, just to recap. 1, if your stomach is too alkaline, if the pH of your stomach is not between 1 and 3, let's get that stabilized first. Why? Because bile salts are alkaline. So if your stomach is above 3.5 or 4, you're going to take bile salts, it's just going to cause a disruption. So first and foremost, let's stabilize the gut. Hyperthyroid. Hyperthyroid, I'm sorry to say, you should not take bile salts. Why? Because bile salts increases the conversion of inactive T4 to active T3. So if you're hyperthyroid, it's going to jack your system up. Diarrhea. Diarrhea, what is a function of bile salts? To lubricate the colon. It's great if you have constipation. So if you have diarrhea, it's just going to make things worse, okay? And also you may have bile acid salt malabsorption, and that's at the distal end of the small intestines. I'll get to that in a second. So again, you should not take that. If you have any of these conditions, stabilize this first, and then let's work on diet, because I always come back to diet is everything. Now, what's bile? What is bile? It's made in the liver, stored and concentrated in the gallbladder when we eat fatty foods. So it's secreted into the biliary tract, stored in the gallbladder by 20 times. So every time you have a fatty substance, it kind of like squeezes out like a toothpaste jar, to break down fats into fatty acids, to absorb it. Also has its phenomenal detoxifier because it helps the excretion of waste products, kills off microbes, SIBO. Blood sugar metabolism, if again, everything starts in the gut. If you stabilize the gut function, everything's going to be kind of within normal limits. Conversion of inactive T4 thyroid hormone to active T3. So we need bile. We need bile in our system. When it comes to bile, the body likes to reabsorb and recycle everything. It's kind of stingy. So 95% of the bile will be passively absorbed across the intestinal lumen, which is your intestinal lining. It's like a tube, the inside tube, okay, and recycled back to the liver. So what happens is that you take, again, the stomach needs to be between 1 and 3 for proper pH. Okay, you eat a fatty substance or whatnot, and again, it's going to break it down. It's going to send a signal with the pancreas to squeeze out, like a toothpaste, some bile. Goes into the small intestines because that's when everything's absorbed. Now the small intestines on the average is about 25 to 30 feet, okay? And there's, along this pathway, there's different things that are absorbed. So it's going to make it through, it's about 25 feet of small intestines, and then at the distal end, the ileum, okay, the distal ileum, 95% of it's going to be recycled. The body wants it. The body doesn't really want to make new stuff all the time because it wants to recycle it. So what happens, 95% is recycled here, but what if there is damage? So 5% of the bile continues to travel throughout the colon and is released through the fecal secretion. Because what does bile do? It lubricates the colon, the distal end. The large intestines has to have a certain lubrication. If it's not, constipation. If it's too much, diarrhea. So what's happened is that bile can cause diarrhea on its own. Because one of the things that bile inhibits, it stops the reabsorption of water. Now, what's going on if you have too much bile? Now again, if you have too much bile, now how's bile made? Fatty acids, good fat. So if you have like 2 handfuls, if I have 5, I love macadamia nuts. Macadamia nuts are awesome. They're phenomenal. They're phenomenal. But it's fat, it's good fat. So when I have too much macadamians, what's going to happen in my body? It's going to make too much bile. And what's going to happen? Yes, I'm going to have some loose stool. If you have too much bile, what's going on? The gallbladder is removed. Bile acid and salt malabsorption, right down here. It's not being reabsorbed. Why? Do you have intestinal damage? Do you have SIBO? Do you have IBS? Do you have Crohn's disease? Any type of intestinal dysfunction, you're not going to reabsorb the bile, so it's going to go right through, hence diarrhea. What if your gallbladder is removed? Remember, the gallbladder is just a storage pouch. When you're not eating, it's closed. When you're eating, it's open. So when it's removed, what they do is that they take that bad boy away and they leave the duct. It's kind of like a leaky faucet that goes from the liver to the small intestines. Now, here's a couple caveats. What if when they did the surgery, they didn't make the tube small enough? Okay? It's open too big. Well, what's going to happen is that you're going to be making bile, because it's made in the liver, and it's going to drip into the small intestines. Intestinal inflammation. What's going to happen too, there's no regulation. It's just like a leaky faucet. It's going to drip, 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 which is going to cause intestinal inflammation. Okay? Diarrhea, too much bile. Remember, macadamia nuts. If I challenge anybody who's watching this at this point, have a handful of macadamia nuts, like 5 handfuls. They're delicious, and see how you feel. Don't blame me, and don't leave a comment like that, okay? So remember, 95% of the bile is recycled back in the ileum. So you could have damage, inflammation, IBS, SIBO, Crohn's disease, because also when you have SIBO, small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, now we have a little valve that comes from the small intestines to the large intestines, the ileocecal valve. When you gotta push, fecal matter through, it opens up. When you're done, it closes up. With SIBO, what happens, you have small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. There's not enough bile down there that destroys the microbes, 1, 2. There's a dysfunction, so it doesn't close properly, so now you got fecal matter and bad bacteria crawling up the small intestines. Your body, I always say your body's like a fish tank. If it's too clean, it's bad. If it's too dirty, it's bad. It needs to be a certain pH to make everything work. First and foremost, you want to stabilize the stomach pH. The pH of the stomach should be between 1 and 3. Okay, if it's too alkaline, remember, bile salts are alkaline. It's just going to make things worse. So first and foremost, stabilize the stomach pH. Eliminate the insult foods. Wheat, gluten, dairy, soy, peanuts, and sugar, and grains. That just causes intestinal inflammation anyways. You want to cut down on the fats. But wait a minute, you said fat makes bile. Yes, I did. But the problem is you have a problem. The fat that you're taking in, it's not converting to bile, it's pushing it through. There's something going on with the bacteria or some type of intestinal insult. Now there's called a low FODMAP vegetable list. There's certain vegetables that your stomach just can't You ever have vegetables where you just cause a disruption and you just want to be alone for a while? It's because some of the vegetables your stomach cannot break down effectively. So you want to do the low FODMAP vegetable list. Carrots, green beans, tomatoes, spinach, kale, cabbage, zucchini, and radishes. Those are all on the low FODMAP list that will help stabilize the gut flora. Supplement. Now normally I don't recommend this at all because it turns your bones to stone. Calcium carbonate. I normally don't recommend that, but again, in times like this, if you have diarrhea, taking calcium carbonate without magnesium, don't take the magnesium. Just take pure calcium carbonate, because what that's going to do, that's going to help dry up the intestines, so it'll put a stop on the diarrhea. So I hope this helps. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Be good. Alright, thank you for watching the video. Most importantly, I hope that you learned something. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button down below and right next to it the bell notification, because when I upload videos like this, you'll be first to be notified. In addition, if you find that this information is valuable and if you want a free 15-minute consultation, please hit the link down below. It'll take you to my website. Again, we could talk either face-to-face, on Zoom, or on a phone call. Either way, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Be good.